Hi, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul. I'm your host, Janie Charlo. Matters of the Heart and Soul is a podcast to raise awareness and awaken humanity to all that is within. We want to be a beacon of light on your life journey. Hi, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is Janie Charlo, your host, and I'm co-hosting today with Russell Bruce.
Hey, everybody out there.
All right, so on today's episode, we are talking with New Cupid, also known as Bryson Bernard, the creator of the hit single and line dance, Cupid Shuffle. So welcome to our podcast, Cupid.
Thank y'all for having me. I truly appreciate it. This is a long time coming, and I know you guys, you guys have done a lot of stuff like to help the community. So thank y'all for this.
Yeah, it has been a long time coming. I feel like we've been playing catch. So
Yeah.
glad we finally caught up.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're really excited to be chatting with you today. We have a lot of things we want to discuss. But first of all, how are you doing? How are you and your family as regards to COVID-19 and all of that stuff?
We're good. My grandmother is big on a lot of herbal stuff and a lot of, natural remedies. So we kind of practice the whole anti-flu thing over the years. That's kind of a thing that we do culturally in our family. So, we just attacked it the same way and everybody's fine.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Do you get flu vaccines?
No, I don't. I haven't had it ever. But
Wow.
I've never had the flu ever either. My mom has this. I mean, my grandmother is big on the Mongolian tea regimen, and we've been taking that since we were kids. And that's sort of the flu's never really been an issue in our family.
Wow.
Good stuff. Those old school remedies definitely work.
That's good to know.
Yes, sir.
So, Cupid, first of all, why the name Cupid or New Cupid? What's the significance behind it?
Well, I got my name from Mel Waiters, actually. When I first started touring on the Southern Soul and Blues market, I would sing Cupid, Draw Back Your Bow, and I would sing Change Gonna Come by Sam Cooke because I didn't have any songs of my own. And the old schoolers would be like, that's that little boy that sang Cupid. So that was it. When I be on the road, they like, Cupid, you starting the show off, you opening up. So it stuck.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. So you're in Louisiana, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. And just speaking about COVID, let's go back to that for a split second. How do you feel about the impact that COVID had on our community there? Did you witness it? Do you know some people who contracted the virus?
Yeah, man. I had a guy, a old coworker and friend of mine pass from it, and he was probably the closest person that I knew with it. I've never seen anything like this before. Unfortunately, like all the rest of the other pandemics in the world, man, it was kind of just mishandled, and I feel like the mishandling of it initially is what kind of made it what it was, or what it is now. But this is my first time ever seeing the whole United States shut down. It's definitely something as an entertainer who performs at different festivals all over the world. It affected me, a lot. But this is definitely a first, my brother.
Yeah. And, being in Louisiana, it's highly cultured. And so you heard a lot of things just in different articles as far as the eating habits. Do you feel like that had anything to do with the impact of the virus in Louisiana?
I mean, I think the biggest impact came from the miseducation of it. I know eating and stuff is important. And you guys know that I'm big on eating well and eating,
Right.
Clean. But we in Louisiana, and it's easy to tell somebody, "Hey, go, use breadcrumbs instead of flour for your fried chicken." They gonna, most people look at you crazy. So it's challenging, man, to try to change a culture in a matter of months because of a disease or something like that. But I do feel that the pre-existing stuff that had people passing, like high blood pressure, diabetes, all those things, made COVID a monster. And
Hmm.
I think, but so that's one of the things, like, and I know you're an advocate for that, is we have to practice those eating habits because in case something else like this happens, you don't want to have your immune system unable to fight it off.
Yeah. Have you had a lot of people come to you just for guidance during this time, just because of your platform? Have you had a lot of people in Louisiana, specifically Lafayette, Southwest Louisiana, just kind of come to you for guidance at all during of anything during this time?
Well, a lot of people know for maybe the past 8 years, I'm on Facebook preaching about the Mongley tea. And then I noticed that there's a doctor out here that all of a sudden started selling it, and packaging it up. We've been doing this since I was born. And once it started to really hit in Lafayette and people didn't know where to get tested, hydrochloroquine, nobody really understood, the effects of that. They were just looking for something that might help or might prevent. Because, fear is a very strong tool. So many people were just scared and they're like, well, Cupid, you not wearing a mask. You out and about, you strong and stuff like that, and I'm like, but we've been practicing these tactics since I was a baby. I got a lot of people to the point where my brother, he owns a restaurant in Carencro. He started jarring Mongley tea and selling it.
Okay.
Um,
What is
because
and what kind of tea is it again?
it's called Monglier now. The doctorial way from now that they sell it is Manglier, but my mama spells it Monglea, and it's undefeated. I mean, in my family, and
Okay.
we've been preparing our immune systems for this for years because my grandma always tell me you got one body, so you got to make sure that your arm is strong, and that's what she always tell us. So
Absolutely.
we take zinc, we take a lot of vitamin C. Orange juice is mandatory. Monglier tea at least once a week is mandatory, and we've been practicing that for years. So I got a lot of inquiries once that information got out, and I was more than happy to share it.
That's good stuff. Is your brother selling it out of his restaurant in Karen Crow? Like, or is
Yes,
it
yes,
special ordered?
he was selling it by the jars. During the COVID, like it wasn't anything that we were selling, but
It just,
people,
yeah, turned
yeah.
into that. Hmm.
Well, when we saw the doctor selling it for $30 a pack, we were like, wait a minute, man, hold on. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, something going on here, man. And initially people thought like, oh, y'all crazy, but you know, God don't make no diseases without a cure. Like God, I mean, to think that our God is that incompetent to where He's gonna allow something that can't be cured to be created by an inferior man
Absolutely.
is
Yep.
kind of disrespectful to the higher power. So we always try to look for like, you know, there's always nature has everything. Nature has everything, and you just got to be knowledgeable, and you have to ask and pry and try to find the information. So my brother was selling it, but he was only selling it to pay for the jars, to be honest.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, he has
But
them over
that's
there.
good to know for people to know that are in Louisiana, and there's a place that you can find what you need.
Well, the
So
crazy part about it is the branch. You every time you get on I-10, you pass up, I mean, thousands and thousands of acres of it. I mean, it's literally growing in the forest. Like it's literally in the grass. You just got to know what you're looking for. Like there's an abundance of it so high, like it's
mm,
crazy. But that's that old school. That old school,
yeah,
that old school country folk stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Good stuff,
That
man.
is good.
So, Cupid, with that said, you had several top Billboard hits prior to 2010. What have you been doing musically since then?
Well, I just partnered up with a company called Music Access out of Dallas, Texas, and what I'm now doing is I have the ability to do online releases for other artists and sign other artists. So I've been writing like crazy. I'm talking about country music, pop, southern soul, blues, rap. Literally, I mean, I got at least about 117 songs that I'm just looking at on this computer screen. Um,
Wow.
and what we're doing is we helping artists get hits. A lot of times artists don't have the resources, nor do they know the direction of how to create a hit record. So, And for myself, I write a lot of R&B blues songs, but my moniker is more dance stuff. So all of the R&B and blues stuff, I get to artists who need it or looking for hit records.
So, what genre of music would you consider your music?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Or multi-genre?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's my gift and my curse, man, because you know, it just depends on where you are. Like, if you're in Atlanta, you probably know
mm,
me as the line dance guy. But if you know him, you're in Texas for some odd reason, I'm the Zydeco dude. And then if you're in Mississippi, I'm the blues dude. And if you're in Portland, Oregon, I'm the Cupid Shuffle guy. So, the crazy part about my career is, man, I started off singing blues and Southern soul, and before that, I was doing hip hop. So, when Cupid Shuffle came out, it touched the country, it touched the pop, it touched the R&B, it touched the hood, it touched the old folks, it touched the young folks. So for a second single, I'm like, so what do I drop next? Because
yeah.
I mean, everybody's a fan.
Yeah,
How?
Cupid Shuffle was really, I mean, that's what we were discussing. We were just saying
Right.
how it has brought people of all ages and races and ethnicities all across the world together. I
Yeah,
think I've seen one of your videos where they were doing it in Japan,
yeah,
and that I feel like we're missing that in music
yeah.
to humanity together. So it's timeless. That is a timeless. It just feel like
It
it's so
is
timeless.
timeless.
Thank
Yeah,
you, thank
You
you,
still
thank you.
want everybody you see to
it
start
does.
dancing.
Yeah, it's a blessing, man. And to be honest, you know, when I make my music now, it's like I stopped trying to figure out like what genre it is. It's like I'm just like, look, I'm gonna make this song. Whoever likes it. Whatever category is put in is put in. Cause I watch a lot of artists, man, really, really stroke themselves to literally death, man, because they try to recreate the wheel. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just kind of just gotta just let it flow and not try to duplicate lightning. And that's where I am now. I just make stuff and people like it,
Mhm.
it's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. A lot of times you listen to different artists, they have that one hit that pop, and they said they didn't know when they first made it if that was going to be the one on the album that was going to pop, but it did, right?
Yeah.
So when you first made Cupid Shuffle, did you know it was going to have that wide of an impact?
Heck nah. No, man, because you know, again, man, I was singing Southern Soul and Blues, man. I'm a singer. I'm out there wailing. And I I, I told my buddy one day, I was like, man, I want to make a line dance song. Whatever. And I was DJing at this club called the Brass Room here in Lafayette. So,
Mhm.
I took it, I made it on a Thursday, took it to the club, and I showed like a few people. And then later that night when the club was packed, I was like, yo, I got a new line dance, and I played and I jumped on the floor and did it. And the rest is history. And I and I,
Wow.
and I asked, like, I was asking my buddy, I was like, man, I'm over here writing songs about love and latitude and longitude and just all kind of big words and trying to, and y'all want to the right, to the left. And the simplest thing I'm thinking of, man, that's what y'all want. So, um, you know, one thing I will say, man, God don't make no mistakes though, and He know. Like when I prayed for my record deal, I had a specific prayer, and the way
Mhm.
my life and my career has been directly what I asked for. So, um, to watch it manifest, man, is made a believe my belief in God is so high because I realized that what was for you is for you, and that's a testament to that.
Another
That's good
another
stuff.
question. What kind of love did you get abroad, and what country would you say is that one country that you didn't expect for your song to grow legs and you could go there today and people know your name?
Japan, Okinawa, Japan, Tokyo, the Middle East, man. I've been to Bahrain, man, in Abu Dhabi, and when I go out there, it's different because they don't have this array of music to listen to. So when an artist is coming down, they know your whole album, and you get up there
Mhm.
and they singing, sing the song with T-Pain, and sing the song and I'm like, what, yo? Like, I don't even sing that at home. Like, so, man, the craziest part about the Cupid Shuffle again, y'all, is it crossed language barriers. So it's
It
like the golden ticket. Like, I can be in any country in the world, and start singing it, and everybody's gonna look up. So
Yeah.
it's just a testament to just, to what's for you is for you, and the power of music. Like it can transcend language barriers.
It
Yeah,
does.
it's a great uniter. It's a universal language.
Yep.
It's the language of the soul.
Yeah.
Cupid, what musicians inspired you while growing up?
Um, the very first CD cassette tape, old school, very first cassette tape I ever had was "Remember Me" by Brian McKnight, and that was like the first like time I used to try to copy singing like Brian McKnight and stuff like that. So that was like my first dose of music as far as paying attention to artistry. But then Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Mhm.
I'm a big Outkast fan because I like the fact that Outkast just don't care. They just make what they want. I like that a lot. Um,
Mhm.
like I say, Frankie Beverly and Maze because of like their longevity and their timelessness, if that's a word. To how they just make music that'll just never go away. Um, those are like my two biggest influences in music.
Um, what would you say is the biggest message you like to convey in your music?
Good feeling, good times. When you hear New Cupid or you that, it's like, what's the dance? What we got? Put my purse down. Let's go. I just want to be the guy that brings that happy feelings to the industry, and that
Mhm.
good positive vibe.
That's good stuff. So I understand that you did face your own health challenges. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, in 2017, of course, I had a lot going on, man, in my personal life. Trying to, be a great artist and be a husband and a good dad at the same time, and be home.
It's hard, right?
Yeah. Oh, look. I mean, hey, look.
It's
I
hard.
keep it real. I pride myself on having one son. Being in this body where I was married to. Because cats, in my
Yeah,
business, they be having a few. You know what I mean? And at
that
that
is true.
time, just trying to balance it out, man. My body got imbalanced. I was, my leisure and my rest and my responsibility were all clashing, and I got a stroke. I caught a stroke. And it was the scariest moment of my life, in the midst of all of what I was going through. And I had to deal with that, man. Lost my speech, lost feeling in my left side, and having to rehab, and remembering the day after I caught my stroke, I couldn't sing, and I was like scared beyond my wildest imagination, because that's how I make my money. And that really opened my eyes to the health part of my life.
Hmm. And were you just was it just highly stressful, like you said, just balancing being an artist, a father, a husband? Was it just all stress related, or were there some underlying health issues at that time that you've already been working on?
Obesity. I mean, I was 260 pounds, like, and nobody told me no better, because I was just on the road eating, and then when you start stressing, you start binge eating. You don't have time to really allocate to really training and appreciating your body and your workouts. So I was 260, and that's unhealthy for my height, and I had never been that big before. Plus the stress, like, the one thing I tell people is you cannot stress over stuff you can't change. Like,
That's true.
I don't care. You can sit up here and get as mad as you want to. If you can't change it, you just gonna be mad. So, I was stressing big time, and I remember I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I was explaining the same story I was explaining to every other person that asked me how everything was going. And I was in the room cooking, and my son was sitting on the couch, and man, I felt it. I felt it coming on, and I started just like my vision started getting like more dim, and then I fall on the floor. My son, he was 6, okay, and I was like, I remember telling him get my phone, but he just kept saying, huh, what? Because of course, I couldn't. My speech was gone, so I I roll over and I grab my phone and I text my buddy, and I was like, stroke, help. And he lived a couple of blocks away, so he jumped in the truck and came, and my little boy opened the door, and I was on the ground, and the ambulance ended up coming and got me, and that was an eye opener, especially with my sons, just me and my kid just in the room.
Wow.
That was like, I can't. This story finna end. So
Right.
yeah, it was definitely a life changing experience.
Wow, that's serious. So, if your buddy did not receive your text and arrive when he arrived, do you think the outcome would have been totally different, or?
It may have, man. I'm not familiar, with how strokes work, and at the time I didn't know the severity of what was going on. I was panicking, I know, and I remember just I just kept saying, no, God, no, God, no, God, no, God, no, 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 not today. This not the day. And, just looking at
Mm.
my son going through a divorce and me stressing because, there was a possibility that, the other person was, there was other intentions going on with that and stuff. And it was just the details of it, man. I can't leave my kid out here.
Mm.
So I was fighting, man. I was saying no because I wasn't finna let that take me, man. My son is like the most important thing on this earth, man, to me. So there was no, in my mind, I believe that I would have got through it and lived on to make sure that I raised that little dude the right way.
Yeah.
So, what was the recovery process like, and what is your target weight, and where are you at today? Because I think a lot of men really need to hear his story.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, man, I got to it after that, man. It was no brainer. I did everything from boxing to CrossFit to, I mean, you name it, man. But I'm down to 214 pounds now, man, and I
That's
feel
good.
I feel awesome, and you got to take care of yourself, like, and when you get older, man, you want to barbecue with the homies and go drink beer and stuff like that. And everybody kind of has that stage, but I always recall what my grandma said. She said, "You got to make sure your army is ready." And with your temple, carrying 260 pounds on stage, eating wrong, you start realizing the effects of sugar and how it's addictive and how sodas are
Mm.
terrible and all of these things like that. You start to realize, man, like, I'm not trying to get, this food ain't that good. I'm trying to live. So,
Yeah.
when all of that hit, it really opened my eyes to taking care of myself. So I went from 260 to 214, and just on a, wasn't going to the gym lifting 400 pounds to show how strong I could bench, and not working out my legs, got chicken legs and stuff like that. It's like I'm out here, stretching and plyometrics and things just to be active, so that way I can literally bend down and pick up a box without, like, oh God, Jesus,
Mm.
Exactly.
functionality and stuff like that. That's very important. So, I look at like my ancestors, how you had guys out in the fields and you had guys out, even in the Egyptian times, these warriors and so on and so forth. These guys wasn't out there, doing 4 sets of 10 on bench. They was like figuring out how to hunt and climb and just be strong. So you want to make sure your body is at its peak performance if possible. And I was given an opportunity to restructure that and recalibrate my whole lifestyle to where I could, be mobile enough to be able to fight off any situation, whether it's getting chased by a dog or COVID-19. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared for it all.
Mm. Cupid, how are you balancing like everything, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, and being an artist? What are some of the practices that you've put in place since 2017?
Well, I'll simply say this: your day is broken into 24 hours. 8 should be for work, 8 should be for rest, and 8 should be for leisure. Anything that tips that balance over, anything that tips those numbers over is going to create an imbalance. You ever notice how when people overwork, how either they don't have enough leisure time to train and work out, or their
Yeah.
family lacks.
Yeah.
People who don't get enough sleep. So I just figured out that, like, nothing's more important than my self-care. So if I gotta rest for 8 hours, whether that's sleeping 6 and resting 2, I'm gonna do that because everything else can wait. And And COVID-19, I'm gonna tell y'all, is a lot of people think, I know it was bad, and condolences to all the people who lost someone, but COVID-19 really put into perspective how unimportant a lot of the things that we chase are. Um, you know,
Oh,
and
very.
I gotta go to work. I can't miss this meeting. I gotta do this. I gotta get this paper. And I gotta do this. I can wait, because if the country shut down, don't none of that matter. And so that the balance comes from, you have to be able to allocate your time. The most
Yeah,
valuable thing on this whole planet, I don't care what you say, what nobody say, the most valuable thing on this planet, y'all, is time.
absolutely. We
And
can't get it back.
you can't get it back. So you got to use it as effectively as possible. I know, Steve Harvey, he was wrong. And I told him that when I saw him, if you sleep, then you ain't grinding. That's okay.
I think I said that.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Hmm.
okay, sir. Mr. I million.
Like the winners are not sleeping. Like that. I
Yeah.
think he said something like, yeah, I do recall
It's
that.
incorrect, because you're gonna be sleeping in the grave if you don't take care of yourself, and then you're gonna be losing. So no, like, you got to be able to balance that, and you got to realize that it's important to take family time out. It's important to take workout time out. It's important to rest. It's important to go shoot basketball, like do something and just take your mind off of that stuff. Everything is gonna come. Balance is key. Balance is key.
Yeah.
Everything in life. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Past, present, future. All them things right there is in threes. You gotta rest, because the earth was
Yeah.
specifically put in here in a 24-hour increment for 8 hour times.
Yeah, that's great advice. I like the 888 thing. I'm all about balance, so but I do like separating that, if because some people need hours, right? You need 8 hours, or they need somebody to tell them, "Well, do this for so many times, so many hours." But that's a great perspective.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. You can't tip the scale, because it's kind of like karma. You think you can beat the system, but you can't. You can't.
Cupid, as a black man living in America in this climate, we just witnessed Ahmaud Arbery, his murder, and most recently George Floyd. How are you taking that as a black man and as a father?
Man, I was talking with my buddy this morning when we were working out, and I mean, my view on this is a tad bit radical. I don't always share my view, because it's not always politically correct. So, I'm not sure if the way I feel about this is, I don't want to come on y'all show and sound like that guy, but I feel,
No, it's your view.
Speak the truth.
Yeah,
Speak
it's
how
your
you feel.
view.
but I don't. I feel like, man, we done sung enough songs and made enough posters, and we've done everything that we possibly could do. I mean, we've been singing since the 60s. I was doing my ancestry.com thing recently, and I was looking at the origin of my family. I got all the way down to like 4 great grandfathers, and looking at,
Mm.
him being born in England and sold, and like all of that stuff, right? So we're in 2020, and I got friends of mine that are Caucasian who, I could post Kaepernick and dude next to each other, and the lack of remorse for looking at a dead body on the ground by their explanation and their rebuttal to me, like, yeah,
Mm.
but maybe he had a reason for that. Like,
Mm.
I'm the type of person where, as you heard, my son is everything to me. It couldn't have been me. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was gonna be a different outcome, simply because, like I said, Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior, one of my favorite songs, Amazing Grace, all of that. Them songs is great, but ain't nothing changed. And it
Yeah.
took for Martin to die to get a little bit, but man, I just feel like, you know, in this day and age, you got to protect yourself. You're having a son. I talk to him all the time about that. Be wise.
Mm-hmm.
But I also tell my son, if you believe in something with all your heart, and you're doing the right thing, that, whether here or in heaven, you're gonna be rewarded. That's all I can say on that, because you can't think. I mean, I've been in situations where I got stopped by the police. I got a 2020 Corvette, and I can't tell y'all how many times I get stopped for nothing. The
Mm.
minute the
Yeah.
minute they see a baseball cap in the silhouette of my tent, I'm getting stopped.
Mm.
And you know, I've got stopped for rolling stops, and I've got stopped for having a fly car. You know what I mean? And the
Wow.
reaction of the
Yeah.
police is based on, just how they feeling that day. So you got to do your best to quote unquote abide by the law and do what they say. But sometimes you can't. And sometimes they just want to be that guy. So you got to just stand up for your rights and just pray and do the best you can. But I feel like, you know, we had Malcolm and we had Martin, and I
Yeah.
love both of them. But I'm my family, man. If I feel like I told everybody this morning. I said, if you want equality, then let's start doing things equal. Think about it for a
Ex-
second. If you going
yeah.
if it's equal, that means I can do the same things you do to me. That's if it's gonna be equal. So I live by equal standards at this point.
You kill my cat, I kill your dog and your
I
cat.
mean,
I
man,
think, I think we get changed that way.
and it sounds bad, but like it's just kind of like, man, I think we as people, we've done everything, man. We've marched. It's to the point where, you got white people that's out there saying you can't kneel before a football game because we don't like it. like, like,
And it's
yeah, like,
anti-patriotic.
protest. But here's the only ways you can protest. And when it gets to that point where we have a right to protest, but you have a right to protest how we like.
Do you see any resolution in your lifetime?
Nah,
And I know that's a heavy
nah,
question, but
nah. I don't see resolution because one, this the whole entire country was built on them same standards. Like, I mean, we can't sit here and try to hide it. I
Right.
mean, the reality is, it was built on blood and sweat and a lot.
mm-hmm.
So what I do see is with social media and the ability to be able to like broadcast these wrongdoings, I do see the fear reversing. And I can
Mm-hmm.
tell by the way, other races respond to gatherings of us, and having at one point having a black president, and just seeing that we have power as well. Niecy Nash has a funny thing on Instagram about a number to call for all white people who get scared. They call it like 1-844 Black Fear or something like that. And it's just like, can't cut your grass, can't walk your dog, you're scared because you see a black person. Call this, and it's funny, but it's you. I don't know if y'all can. I'm sure y'all can tell this as well, man. They nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think for once we as a people, instead of us always carrying the burden of guilt and shame for what has happened and what continues to happen, I think it's time for other people to carry that cross as
Yeah.
well. Not at that point we'll get justice. And there's also the big fear, not only nationally but internationally, that with the population exploding and over 90% of it being people of color,
Mm-hmm.
there's even greater fear that the power, the culture, the music, the religions, everything in America as well as Europe is starting to change, and it's something that's going to have to be reckoned with.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I,
Agreed.
I, I
Agreed.
I read some books years back, like Pat Buchanan wrote a book and pretty much all out said, in a code that they should go to war with people of color to keep it from happening. But, it's something that's natural. I think until, everybody, especially white folks, not going to let y'all off the hook, really need to come to grips that there's only one race here. It's a human
Correct.
race.
Yeah.
It originated in Africa.
Correct.
Y'all ain't nothing but our light skinned brothers and
Correct.
sisters. And
Correct.
if all back into the melting pot, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's this fear that genetically they're going to be annihilated, and they may deny it, but at the end of the day, that's what the
It
fear
is, it
is.
is, it
So
is, man. And the funniest part about that whole thing is, you know, if we, well, we are the majority. I don't think that you would ever see in history. I mean, even if we go 1,000 years from now, where the roles will be reversed. I think we have enough compassion as far as, African Americans, mixed races, and so on and so forth, to where we could live in harmony. Once
Mm-hmm.
once that majority, what used to be a majority, is kind of like the minority, I think that the new generation of people, mixed in all different types of, races, are going to live in harmony, because there's so many mixed, vibes and so many different stories. I think that we could all live in harmony. So, and maybe not in my lifetime, but I hope, at some point, our young Black kids don't have to keep walking around, tiptoeing around. When they see a cop, your heart start beating.
yeah, because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure everybody eating good and partying and dancing to the
Yes,
Cupid
sir.
show.
Exactly. Cupid, as I know you just explained, just being a Black man, being stopped by the cops, specifically because of your car. What about as a Black artist? What kind of experiences have you had in that particular industry? Have you had some equality trying to move up in the ranks? And, because we hear the stories, a lot of people having to sell their souls to sell a song. So, just authentically speaking, have you had any issues? What have you experienced?
Well, the music industry is it's like selling candy. Everybody has candy, but it's who has the best packaging. So if they feel that having a bunch of guns and having this look or whatever sells, then that's what it's about for them. For
Mm.
the people without the talent but with the resources. What I am finding, though, I mean, social media, I didn't used to like it at first. I was like, oh, this is, people want to know too much of your business, but it allows the great artists to have a shot, have a chance, like a
Mm-hmm.
PJ Martin. Like, they don't give PJ no time or no kind of play unless it's on Heart and Soul. But I'm really here to tell you that that's one of the dopest artists that I've ever out now, and so many great
Mm-hmm.
artists who have a platform now because of social media. Back in the record business days, you did what they say or else, and that's why you saw a lot of artists get blackballed, like T-Pain, like Lauryn Hill. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you saw it, but now, I'm sorry, go
Because
ahead.
they found their own thing,
Correct.
you
Oh
think?
yeah,
They didn't
yeah,
assimilate to the norm.
absolutely, 100%, yes.
Yeah.
Because again, the record companies don't care about your message; they could care less. Like, I can make a song called A B C D E F G, right? And it could be the most no words, just terrible. But if I got the look and it's viral on social media, they want it, and they're gonna package it up.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever notice, they'll grab the most hot rapper ever that's on the cuffs of getting killed for whatever reason, blow them up, put them in
Mm-hmm.
jail, and then collect all their royalties, and make them bond out against their royalties and eat forever. So yeah,
Wow.
it's for them, it's selling a product, and for a lot of artists, it's the substance. So that's what your clash is. And people use the term selling your soul as in recording something you may not like. No, that
Mm-hmm.
not all the time is that bad, because sometimes you might find a diamond in the rough. um I've seen a bunch of artists when I was at Atlantic. They would send all of the artists the same beats, and they would say write and submit, and then if whoever writes the best thing, we may put that record out in. I mean, I've heard songs on the radio 4 or 5 years later. I'm like, man, I had that beat in my computer. So
Wow.
it's about money and numbers for them, and it's for authenticity and longevity for the artist. So that's what the clash is. And so I've seen it. I told them I wanted to do R&B and blues, and they was like, we want to make you a pop artist. It's like, I don't want to do no pop, man. It's crazy. You know, that's not what I do. And if I go home being a pop artist, they're gonna be like, man, we ain't trying to hit that. So, you know, that was my clash. I went the direction that I went, and you know, I'm not upset about my decision at all, because, you know, it's 12 years later and I'm still, you know, kicking up dust. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for artists. And, you know, I say this.
But most of all, you stayed true to yourself, to what you felt in your heart you wanted
Yeah,
to
but
sing
that's
about.
hard, my sister. And I'm gonna tell you why. When I got signed, I was broke as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get you to New York and they sit you in the front row of a Knicks game and give you $20,000 spending cash and ask you for $1 million, what's true to your heart ain't what's true to your heart get pushed to the back burner real quick. And I hear artists, I hear a lot of artists say, man, I wouldn't do. Yes, you would. If they get you there, 9 times out of 10 you will, because a lot of these guys ain't never seen no $500,000 cash, $1 million, $2 million. So yeah, it's cool to be, you know, I just want to make songs about flowers and the world and love and peace. But you can't pay your
Mm-hmm.
light bill and your water bill off them songs. And then that record company comes and is like, hey, we want you to make a song, but we want you to instead of talking about that, we want you to talk about how you take your flowers and all your stuff and you cook it in the crack. And you like, wait, and we'll give
Mm-hmm.
you $2 million and have you on TV and get your mama a house and a car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what happens.
I get it. I get it.
Cupid. Yesterday, I was listening to a video of Marcellus Wiley, ex NFL football player, and he made a comment that 1/3 of pro athletes live check to check. And he talked about how, you know, once he played his last college football game and he was expected to be, you know, a first round draft choice, his agent, you know, asked him how much he needed, you know, for an advance because he knew he had guaranteed money coming. And he was just saying how it was so new. Like he said, he
Yeah.
was broke, right? And he didn't know how much to ask for, so he only asked for $10,000, thinking it would carry him. And he didn't even have a banking account. He said he took his $10,000 check to the liquor store to cash at 17%. And then out of nowhere, you know, he was trying to take care of his mom
Of
and his
course.
siblings, of course, but then all of the unknown cousins. So how does stardom and coming into money, how does that change the people around you? Because from what it sounds like, and he even reiterated that he didn't change, it was
That's
everybody around him. So
that's a
how did that
fact. I
impact you?
mean, you know, I'm the first like R&B guy out of Lafayette to get a record deal. So when it happened, it was a big celebration. And, you know, even my crew, like, they was like, yo, man, like, what's up? We about to be out of here, man. It's on. And I'm like, yo, you the background people. Like, y'all not finna be on cribs off of, you know, because of me. And, um, you know, I had a very good lawyer who helped me not get messed over. I took a lot less
Mm.
initially than most people, and on the back end, it allows me to, you know, to be in the position I am now. But everybody changes around you, everybody, and also you kind of change because you don't want you got a record deal, you want BET, you would like him. He's in the NFL. You can't be walking around not looking like you in the NFL, you know, and that's like the goal. Like you want to be able to buy these things, so you kind of do it with the expectation that more is going to come in. Naturally, moms and pops, of course, you know, that's the thing. You gotta take care of them. Then you got, you know, your homies, and then you got, you know, man, I just need it go from I need $10 to, hey man, I just need a stack. That's all. Just a stack. And then, you know,
Mm.
it starts adding up. And you can't live in the hood no more because you might have somebody try to rob you. So now you got to move on up to another place, and you can't be driving no 10-year-old vehicle because you on BT. So you know you can't do that. And
Mm.
then so yes, it does. It changes everybody around you, brother. Everyone, even the DJs that play your music, got to be having a handout. Like, I help you get this record deal. I played Cupid Shuffle 20 times. What's up? So you get it, bro. You get it. It happens, and it's a struggle to fight through that, man. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with that big time the first couple of years of me signing, to the point where when I ended up leaving Atlantic and coming home, nobody wanted to deal with me because they thought I was acting funny because I had to move to LA and I wasn't chunking out money to everybody. So it's challenging, man. It is challenging.
Good stuff. So, what advice would you have for a young aspiring artist that's trying to break into the industry, like to help them avoid the pitfalls and things to look for in that contract? Because I hear those contracts can be very tricky.
The first thing I'll say is if you're not passionately in love with music, then I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean,
Mm.
there's leisure artists who do it, when they get off of work and play at a bar here and there. And then there's the ones who 24/7, they eat, breathe, and sleep. That's music stuff. You have to love it, because the best part about the music business is not the goal, it's the journey. My
Yes.
favorite
Yeah.
time just traveling with my
Yeah.
homeboys and the stories that we have, and all of that stuff. I've sold 4 million records, and when I got my first plaque, I looked at it and I was like, okay, what's next? Like, what's next? Like, am I done? No, we just continue the journey, and that people lose sight on that. Like, it's the journey. Whether you're an artist playing at every local festival in your state and people love you and they come see you, you got 2,000 core fans. You made it. You're doing it. Whether it's 2,000 or 2 million people, you're doing it. You're doing music, and you're for the masses, and that's what matters. So my advice to
Mm.
anybody is set your goals high, but appreciate the journey more. Um, you might not get
Mm-hmm.
that multi-million-dollar deal, but that don't mean that you can't have the same stories I have or the same success. It's just based on, your level of success. But I love performing so much, y'all, to where before I got my record deal, I had a talk with God, and I said, God, I just want to be able to do music for the rest of my life. That was my prayer before I got my record. That miraculously, boom, I got a phone call like 11 days later. But I just wanted to do music for the rest of my life, because I didn't see myself. I have 21 jobs before I got my record deal. Like, I was just getting hired and fired. So I knew that wasn't my calling, but the music. So you appreciate that
Mm-hmm.
journey, and you fall in love with the journey, and it's just and I tell all musicians that, I want a record deal, but are you loving chasing the deal? And they like, oh man, it's hard. Well, it's not for you. It's not for you. It should never be hard. You should just be doing it because you love it.
That's great insight. I
Good
think
stuff, man.
life is about the journey, because that's where
For
we
true.
we get everything in the
Correct.
journey. Because like I said, once you hit those top sales, you did it, but you were like on to the next, because it's about the journey. I can't stop here. That already manifested. It's time to move on
Correct.
to the next thing. So that's great insight. Um, what book would you recommend to our
Soul Lessons
listeners?
and Soul Purpose by Sonia Choquette. I I done sent that book to so many of my friends as Christmas gifts, or when I see them on Facebook ranting, I'm like, look, I'm about to send you something. What's your address?
Okay, tell us why.
Because it
Why that
allowed
book?
that book is one of the most powerful books. Shout out to my boy Chad Trahan for putting me on that book. I mean, it makes you realize that there's no mistakes in life. It's just the way you perceive it. Is the way you perceive it. I mean, I know people, they driving down the road and they catch a flat tire and they're like, beep, 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 blank, blank, this word, that word. But then, like, stand outside your car and look at it, and look at the fact that, one, you got enough money to fix this thing, and two, you got a car. Then look off in the distance, and I want you to find the first person that you see walking, and realize where you are in life. Like,
Mm.
don't ever disrespect your blessings. Don't ever do that. And that book gives you so many situations and scenarios where we as humans naturally look at things in that negative connotation, and it allows you to look at it from a different perspective. And when you start realizing that when that record company told you no, it was probably because they were about to give you a messed up record deal, rather than they just said no because you just not good, or you gonna date this girl and you like her, she just so pretty and you want her, but she just won't talk to you. It's probably because if she do talk to you, you're probably finna be in a situation you don't want to be in, and vice versa with the guy for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? It's a way to just view things in a different connotation. In that book, y'all, I'm telling y'all, like, I at least 14, 15 of my friends, I just send it to them like, yo, get this. I'm not giving you the audio book. You're going to read this book.
Okay. I hadn't heard that one, but I'm going
Soul
to check
Lessons.
that one
It's called
out.
Soul Lessons and Soul Purpose. The author is Sonia Choquette. Please go get that. I recommend that to anybody who's a big thinker. If you're a big thinker and you believe in the universe and you believe in karma and you believe in so many other things, and you understand the power of the chakras and you understand the power of just positive energy, that book just hit you like, wait, like, I'm not even tripping. I'm not going to trip no more. Like, I got one life. I'm not finna waste all of it on fussing about stuff that I can't control. And every single moment that I get, I'm going to hug it.
Exactly.
That's good stuff, man.
And with you just saying that, as far as just the universe and the chakras and all that, while you were talking about, you saying you had to get a car, then you had to move from one neighborhood to the next. It's all about vibration. Like, you were no longer in the vibration of scarcity. You were now in the vibration of abundance. And so the people around you still asking for, $20 or $100. It's a vibration of scarcity, but you were no longer there. So you were kind of transitioning to that different vibration.
It does.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we have to become that. Like you said, I had to dress a certain way. Then I had to drive a car, because you become that vibration. And a lot of people, if they don't become it, they lose it, or they can't handle it,
Right. So it's a lot where people want the things that you have, but they don't want to do the things that you did.
No, man. Man, you'd be surprised at how many people be like, hey, I'm gonna make a song called the Johnny Shuffle, and I'm gonna blow up. And I'm like, yo, it took me 10 years to get a record deal. Like, they don't understand. And they don't want to do that work, man. Because for them, it's work. For me, it's just what I love.
It's the journey for you, and you just love music and creating. Yeah.
And that's something that occurs along the way.
So, Cupid, at this time, at the moment of this podcast, what would you say is the greatest matter of your heart today, right now, this moment?
Just appreciating life. Because with COVID, I've never spent this much time with my my family and with my friends. I never missed just hanging out with my friends, shooting pool in the backyard, things like that. Like, right now, I have such a different appreciation for life. Like, I've always cherished time, but now the appreciation of life. Like, my heart is I just want to just tell everybody how I feel about them and how much I love them, and just spread that kind of energy, because it just goes to show them in the blink of an eye, like, things can change so drastically. So, that's the thing, is just love, 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 love. Whether it's your family, your friends, whatever, the things you do, just love. It's just love, because it's crazy. It's crazy out here how 2 seconds, boom. One day I'm at Mardi Gras at Zulu with my nice little tuxedo on, and the next day, boom, I can't go outside. Like, how crazy is that?
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And positive energy is attracting, it's magnifying. So it's the law of attraction. You'll attract more of that to you when you put that out. So is there anything else you want our listeners to know about Cupid, about Bryson Bernard, anything you want the world to know about you as a person?
Well, I'm just an average guy that sings for a living. I don't look at myself as bigger than anybody. I'm hustling and grinding like everybody else. I have a cologne line and perfume line called Bells and Bows. That's from Louisiana, and I also have a fitness program called Q Aerobics, where we do line dance aerobics just to keep people moving. So I'm just trying to help my community out. I love Louisiana, and I'm gonna keep on doing this music till I can't no more.
That's good stuff. How can we get your fragrances?
It's www dot bellsandbowls.com. That's BELLES and Bowls, spelled the Louisiana way, BEAUXS.com. So it's bellsandbowls.com. I got a bunch of my friends on it. Miss Juicy from Little Women of Atlanta, Denise Boutte, Vanessa Simmons. I ship stuff out to them on a normal. So I'm just doing my thing and just spreading love, positive vibes, and smells, to everybody across the country.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Cupid, especially for just sharing your journey and your authenticity about your journey. Russell, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, great conversation, my brother. Just wanted to reiterate one of the points that you touched on. It just reminded me of a Miles Monroe lecture where he talked about time. And he was stating that both the beggar and the billionaire both get the same 24 hours in a day, and that a person's success or lack thereof is all predicated on what they do with that 24 hours. So
Facts.
that was
Facts.
great touching on that point, my brother. And we appreciate you, man. We wish you much success and looking
Absolutely.
forward to all your future projects and your entrepreneurial efforts. We
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. And I appreciate the podcast and the love, and come back on the show later on once everything's opened up. And
Yeah,
whenever you're ready,
absolutely.
man.
Anytime.
all
This has
good.
been another episode of Matters of the Heart. And so this podcast is inspired by love, God, relationships, spirituality, justice, culture, family, children, finances, freedom, personal growth, energy and vibrations, universal principles, health, education, masculine and feminine energy, music, and all things of the heart and soul. This mission of the podcast is to connect our hearts and our minds. So we just finished speaking with Cupid. We appreciate you so much, Cupid. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Much
Please
love
share
to
this
y'all.
podcast. All right, take care.
Peace.